So hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So what I have here is probably the most expensive modified Ford Ranger here in our country. This is the 2023 Ford Ranger Wildtrak 4x4 with modifications worth 1.2 million pesos. Most of this were done at Autobot Off-Road Works. Actually, I'll be very honest. I even said it in my Ford Ranger XL Walkaround review. I am not a big fan of some only of the modifications done by some people. But this one, I think I will make an exception. Knowing the owner, thank you again for allowing me to review this. He does off-road a lot. And if you know the owner has good taste, there are no garnishes throughout. Everything is stuck. Even here in the door handles, there is no garnish whatsoever. So I will read from this FYI because there are a lot of modifications done with this. So let's start here at front. So of course you can tell here already this has a new grille. And I like these three amber lights here at front. Kind of mimics like that of the US Fords, like example in the Ford F-150 Raptor V8. And here you have a set of rigid lights. Before we get to how much this rigid headlights cost, so if you watch early on my channel how much I spent on my Toyota Corolla big body, which I spent almost 50,000 pesos, 47,000 pesos. So I looked at the list. So there is one part here that cost more than the entire spendings on my car last year. It's the HKS exhaust at the rear. Let that sink in. So anyway, back here at front, the rigid lights here at front, they cost 90,000 pesos. Two sets, so this total of 4. So you have, these are 45,000 pesos each. And as well, you have option front and rear steel bumpers. And more rigid lights here. Tow hooks here, both in red. And the stock tow hooks are still present here. And you have an ARB steel bumper underneath that stretches all the way to the back. It even covers the transmission itself. So as well, you have new sets of wheels and tires. So the tires are Toyo tires. There are 305, 55, 20 series tires. They cost 80,000 pesos. Oh my god. And the wheels itself, they are Fuel Rampage 20x10s. 165,000 pesos for all of them. Damn. So here at the side, you have rough mud flaps all around. And the biggest upgrade to this Ford Ranger Wildtrak is this. You have old man EMU BP51 shock absorbers. The owner told me these are probably one of the most comfortable suspensions ever made. Probably. I'll get to know later when I get to drive this. So side profile, exactly the same apart from the black fender flares. So this modified Ranger kind of gives it more of a wide body look now. So here now at the rear, like what I said in front, you have option steel rear bumpers too. And you have again red tow hooks here on each side, along with two rigid lights over here in the bumper itself. And like in front, this still continues the old man EMU B51 shock absorbers at the rear. And as well, they have a 4-inch lift. It's so high that my entire head can fit in the wheel arches itself. So like the Wildtraks, this has tailgate assist, so you can literally carry it with one hand. What's also unique with this cover, the owner so far has not experienced leaks with this, so the quality of this is really good. And as you can see, this toy occupies a lot in the load bed, but this is a movable toy, so you can move it forwards and backwards. And the thing with this load bed cover, it's quite difficult to close this, being honest, because you have to shut this first and then simply slam the load bed cover if I can reach. Oh no, that's not good. So yeah, those are the only modifications done with this specific Ford Ranger. So it is pretty much exactly the same like in the Ranger Wildtrak 4x4. So I have a walk around tour of that because the interior segment is right there. And as well, why not watch my full dive of that stock so you know what the differences are between a stock one and this one. The only thing done in the interior are Hypotech floor mats and BP film Supreme tints. Engine still remains the same. It's a 2-liter bi-turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that produces 210 horsepower and 500 Newton meters of torque. So no changes there, as well with the 10-speed automatic. More or less same power due to this HKS exhaust. So without further ado, let's go for a dive. Driving this heavily modified Ford Ranger. Driven this quite a while now before I did my main part of this video. Also, thank you so much to the owner for helping me throughout this whole video for the drone shots. And first thing I noticed immediately, I mean, the ride is way better than the stock. I mean, it's more comfortable, more supple, and despite being on off-road tires, this is what I like also well with all Ford Rangers. They have one of the best NVH for any pickup in its class, of course. I mean, you still can hear the engine, but it's not as loud. It's tolerable, I gotta say. And despite being 4 inches taller too, I was expecting a lot of body roll. To be honest, feels more or less the same with the stock Ranger. And as well, with its competitor, I only can compete it with the Hilux GRS. That's also modified, same owner by the way. This is way more comfortable than the Hilux, despite even the Hilux down I've driven with all the goodies like this one. It's so good. This is why I fell in love with Rangers in the first place. They're among the best driving pickups in its class. I mean, here look, 40 kilometers per hour. So despite being on off-road tires, I was just traveling 40 kilometers per hour. Not much tire noise too. Very, very impressed with this Ford Ranger. And the other thing I immediately noticed with this modified Ford Ranger is the brakes. They are incredibly stiff, but the feedback of it is really, really good. Call me crazy, it's almost sports car level. And the rest of the driving dynamics, I gotta say, feels exactly the same with the stock Ford Ranger. Very good handling. Of course, being the 4x4, the 10 speed is not as bad as I once thought. It's really responsive. I mean, it still hunts, it gets confused, but in the end, it's not too bad. And then here, very big hump. It soaks them up like there's nothing. It is really, really good. Also, being the new Ford Ranger, this as well as the updated the bi-turbo engine and the transmission. So, like what I said with the Wildtrak 4x2 and 4x4 reviews, I feel so at home with this Ranger. Not gonna lie, I still want one. I know I still want a Strada, just being honest, but if we have the budget and a little bit more, I will definitely take home this Ford Ranger. I'm not sure though if I want to modify it like this. I mean, this is very OA, but knowing the owner, he does off-roading quite a lot. Yeah, I see the point why these are very popular with modifications. I mean, not just this Ranger, but for the entire pickup trucks in its class. I mean, my Strada, there was a lot of mods too with those. So this is probably the best but modified Ranger out there. Oh yeah, another thing I noticed too, here roundabout, yeah, despite having wider tires, 4-inch lift, so on and so forth, the turning radius more or less the same that of the stock Wildtrak 4x4. And I'm not showing that much. The 10 speed is doing its job. This is why I really adore Ranger Wildtraks. Well, I mean, all Rangers, I gotta say, because they're mostly the same thing. But for this 4x4 with the bi-turbo, it's gotta be the best pickup truck in its class. And this one, probably the best setup one, probably here in the country too. And of course, worth 1.2 million pesos worth of mods. It's nuts too. So, actually this car has not completed its break-in period. Well, it's almost done. That's why I'm not showing it that much, with respect as well to the owner. I'm surprised with its fuel economy now. So of course, he's been driving this and I almost the whole day now. This one's been averaging 12.1 liters per 100 kilometers. That's freaking fuel efficient for a truck this size and this much power, and this specific one with so much mods. So the 10 speed is really something. My case still stands though with all the Rangers. It has to be a Wildtrak if you're getting one. Either 4x2, 4x4, I'll be happy. But to be honest, the 4x4 could be number one choice if I wanted a Ranger Wildtrak. So what else to say? This is probably the most expensive modified car I've tried out so far. And thank you again to the owner so much for allowing me to review your car and for helping me throughout this whole review, especially with the drone shots. Kinda got on the drone too, but I need the camera first up. But it was such a cool experience. So, hope you guys like and subscribe, and I will see you with more future car reviews and more modified cars like this. And hopefully I will get an off-road video coming out, so because that's what's missing in my channel.
Bye-bye.